Hello, today we're going to be talking about Malaysia's steep M country analysis. Here are a table of contents. Socio-cultural. To start off, here are demographics from the Department of Statistics of Malaysia. First, we'll be talking about gender roles. Domestic work such as cooking are considered female tasks, but domestic work can also be performed by hired female maids. Men generally hold more influence than women, which can be seen in many laws. However, a woman is also prominent in society as many political parties have strong women wings that allow women to gain political prominence. Many ethnicities have different rules for marriage, but still, marriage is a critical step in Malaysian life, and staying single into your 30s can cause concern. For the majority of Malay, siblings are more important than ancestors. In Malaysia, social class is determined by a combination of political ties, specialized skills, English proficiency, family wealth, and people lifestyle such as what they eat, what they wear is a primary symbol of class. And owning a car signifies one social class more than owning a property.
In Malaysia, there are the three biggest ethnic groups in the country. There are Pumabut, Chinese, and Indian. And of course, the Pumabut being the biggest among the group. Noted that the Pumabut are known as the son of the soil, refer to the name for called the indigenous ethnic group of Malaysia. Back to 19th century, when British arrived in Malaysia, they need a lot of migrant workers to work here. So this might be the starting point of the religious plurality in the nation. Although British had already left Malaysia and Malaysia had changed to use the parliamentary system, each political declaring oneself to be the representative of each specific ethnicity. For an example, UMNO parties was in the representative of the Malay people. And on 13 May 1996, this is one of the remarkable days for Malay people because there is a lot of killing Chinese people in Kuala Lumpur. So after the event, there is the new Malaysia Prime Minister Abdul Razak, and he introduced of NEP or Malaysia New Economic Policy for giving the privilege for the Pumabut group. NEP came with the two objectives. They came to reduce the poverty of people from every nation in country and the extraction the society. To be more simple, NEP declaring oneself to reduce the economic disparity between Malays and Chinese people. In pre-colonial Malays, they trained to believe in animism adopted by Proto-Malays and Deuteron Malays, which were the Malaysia's original people. This type of belief system is that they believe in supernatural beings. They think that many components around them, like plants, creators, or spirits, are linked to people's life. Later, between 5th century and 14th centuries, they were affected by Hinduism and Buddhism, and these are the pictures that prove my sentence. After that, Islam also arrived in Malaysia, it of course by preachers and Muslim traders from India and South Arabia. During the colonial powers, the Portuguese capture of Malacca, and they was colonized by them for 130 years. They spread Christianity successfully among the Chinese, some local Muslim, and Indian traders. After that, Dutch captured Malacca from the Portuguese, and they introduced the Protestantism as the official religion, which was distinct from the Catholicism practiced by Portuguese. And after post-colonization, Islam is considered as a part of the definition of the Malay people in the Malaysian Constitution, Article 160. So that's why Islam has become the Malaysian national religion.
Malaysia's official languages. Between 2500 and 1500 BC, the Malaysian and Indonesian ancestors moved around the Malaysian islands. So the Austronesian people language gradually evolved into Old Malay. Old Malay was impacted by Indian civilization and was spoken throughout West Malaysia and among traders passing through Malacca. This era from the 15th to the mid-19th century was dominated by Islamic ideals and customs. So the language developed into the context of Arabic and Persian. Malaysian mixed the old Indian script with Arabic and developed the Jawi script, which was used for over 600 years before eventually demoted to use for religious and work purpose only. More traditional Malay populated areas like Kelantan in Malaysia still use Jawi on a daily basis. When the British arrived and began to colonize the area in the 1800s, English language quickly spread throughout the country as a mean of trading. The English language was quickly linked with elitism because English schools were often in big cities and majority of students were Chinese and Indian kids from rich families because they accepted English more than other groups. Malaysian gained self-government in 1955 and both Malay and English were recognized as official language of the state services. However, by 1971, Malay would be the only official language. English were used in education and stayed the majority language in business. Towards the 19th century, the language evolved to become similar to English because Malay borrowed vocabulary from many European colonial languages. Following Japanese invasion, the Malay language took the status of national language. The Malay current language strategy is to have Malay as official language and preserve other language and to have English as second language.
For the technology, on Bloomberg's latest Innovation Index, an annual study of the world's most innovative economies, Malaysia is the 27th most innovative country in the world. While they are one of the best in manufacturing output levels, they are weak in productivity, and the percentages of their workforce engaging in R&D, along with those with higher education degrees, pales in comparison to the other high-tech nations. What technology is available in Malaysia? The government of Malaysia identified key digital areas to drive ICT sector, which is cloud, Internet of Things or IoT, data analytics, cybersecurity, data center, e-commerce, and artificial intelligence or AI, being the main drivers for Industry 4.0 and smart city development. The current public transportation system consists of buses, BRT, light rail transit, monorail, express rail link, and commuter rail. The private bus operators include Metro Bus, Triton, Lenseng, Selangor Omnibus, and SJ Bus. The Bus Rapid Transit Sunway Line is a public-private partnership project between Prasarana and Sunway Group. Kereta Api Tanah Melayu Berat or KTMB is the national railway operator of Malaysia. For energy consumption, in 2020, consumption per capita was 2.7 tons of oil equivalent, which is higher than neighboring countries. Electricity consumption per capita has increased from 3,900 kilowatt hour per capita in 2010 to 4,600 kilowatt hour in 2020. And this is the interactive chart Malaysia total energy consumption. For energy production, total installed generation capacity at the end of 2018 was about 34 gigawatts. Located mostly in peninsular Malaysia, fossil fuels, primarily coal and natural gas, accounted for about 78% of Malaysia's installed capacity at the end of 2018, and 83% of the country's electricity output in 2018. The school system is structured on a 6+3+2+2 model, with 6 years of compulsory primary education beginning at age 7, followed by 3 years of lower secondary education, 2 years of upper secondary, and 2 years of pre-university senior secondary study. Malaysia Inland Waterway Transport System in Sarawak, the road network is still underdeveloped, and unlike Sabah and Peninsular Malaysia, there is no rail network passing through rural areas and connecting the main towns. But building roads is a slow and costly process, and meantime, the state's rivers can serve efficiently as superhighways from coastal ports into the interior. For the seaport, Port Klang is the largest and most important port in Malaysia. It is situated on the west coast of the peninsula where the River Klang debouches to the Straits of Malacca, hereby connecting the capital city Kuala Lumpur to the sea. In total, Malaysia has 62 airports. Among them, 38 airports have scheduled passenger service on commercial airlines. Other than that, Malaysia has 8 international airports. Kuala Lumpur International Airport is Malaysia's main international airport and one of the biggest airports in Southeast Asia and worldwide.
Coming to the third part, according to the International Monetary Fund, Malaysia's economy is the fourth largest in Southeast Asia and the 38th largest in the world due to a high density of knowledge-based sector and high technologies for manufacturing and digital economy. Labor productivity in Malaysia is much higher than in neighboring countries. This is due to a rapid rising export-oriented economy, a low national income tax, extremely affordable local food and transportation fuel, and fully subsidized single-payer public health care. Malaysia is an upper middle-income country, and it has evolved from a raw material producer to a multi-sector economy since the 1970s. According to World Bank, the Malaysia's economy is predicted to improve in this year, 2022. A comeback in domestic demand, ongoing expansion in export are predicted to drive growth, which is expected to reach 5.8% in 2022. Malaysia is steadily recovering from the pandemic worst wave. The number of new cases per day has been steadily decreasing, reducing some of the strain on healthcare system. This is partly due to the National Immunization Program rapid expansion, with 78% population fully immunized. Malaysia's GDP was 337 billion US dollar, the 29th biggest in the world, according to the financial report. The per capita income was $10,231, making it the 38th GDP rank in 2021 in comparison to other countries in the region. Malaysia's inflationary pressure has stayed stable. This was partly related to lower gasoline price, the implementation of an electricity bill discount, and price control of subsidies on basic commodities. Malaysia's trade performance continued continued to impress in October 2021 with another series of monthly high in trade, export, import, and trade surplus when compared to October 2020. Trade increased by 26.5%, breaking the barrier for the first time. Export increased by 25.5%, marking the 14th month of year-on-year growth since September 2020. Imports climbed by 23.6%, while the trade surplus expanded by 17.9%. Metal and electrical and electronic product manufacturer export reached their highest in monthly value so far. The main country to do export and import with Malaysia is ASEAN countries, China, US, EU, and Japan. Malaysia inflation as measured by the consumer price index jumped 3.2% from a year earlier in December 2021, owing mostly to increase in food and fuel prices, as well as the on-base effect according to the Department of Statistics Malaysia. According with that, it contributed to the country's leap into annual inflation of 2.5% in 2021 compared to 1.2% deflation in 2020. Unemployment rate fell to 4.3% in October 2021, the lowest level since April 2020. Central bank as well as Malaysia's COVID-19 problem will put downward pressure on the ringgit in the long run. According to Trading Economic Global Macro Models and Analysts, the Malaysian ringgit is predicted to trade around 4.2 by the end of this quarter. Looking ahead, we expect it to trade at 4.23 in a year's time.
Moving on to the next section, Malaysia environment. Malaysia is located to the north of the equator and is consisted of two regions, Peninsula or West Malaysia, which located on the Malay Peninsula, and East Malaysia, which consists of two states, Sarawak and Sabah, is located on the northern part of the Borneo Island. The two regions are separated by 530 kilometers of South China Sea. Malaysia encounters high temperature, humidity, and heavy rainfalls. There are 4 monsoon seasons. The coastal areas are sometimes exposed to heavy rainstorms. The average annual temperature is 26.4 degrees Celsius, and the average annual precipitation is 100 inches for West Malaysia and 150 for East Malaysia. Over 50% of Malaysia is covered in dense green rainforests. The rainforests cover over 2/5 of the Peninsula Malaysia and around 2/3 of East Malaysia. The flora of Malaysia forest is one of the most plentiful in the world. There are thousands of plant species. There is a vast variety of wildlife in Peninsula Malaysia, but even more in East Malaysia, which is also home for many endangered animals. A number of Malaysian animals are categorized as critically endangered since it is on the edge of extinction due to their habitat lost from hunting and deforestation. Malaysia is rich in natural resources. Tin is the most economically crucial since Malaysia has the world's most tin deposit. Other important natural resources are timber, copper, bauxite or aluminum, natural gas, and petroleum. Environment pollution have long been occurred in Malaysia. Water pollution is the most fundamental environmental issue in Malaysia since it has caused from the beginning of 3 traditional industries, which are tin mining, natural rubber, and palm oil. At present, water quality is monitored regularly at 908 sites on the 117 rivers in the country. Air pollution in Malaysia is divided into 3 main areas. Air pollution due to exhaust gas from motor vehicle emissions, heat caused by the weather and forest fire from Indonesia, and air pollution caused by industrial activity. Currently, over 23,000 tons of waste is produced each day in Malaysia, but less than 5 of them are being recycled. Improper waste management contributes greatly to water and air pollution. Deforestation in Malaysia is a serious problem. Most of the forests are largely impacted by industrial logging, land clearing, road construction, urban development, and exploit for plantation, especially palm oil. This action disrupts life and destroys the habitat of both plants and animals. Oil spill can happen either on land or sea, which can cause great damage to the environment in the form of air, land, or water pollution. These factors can cause damage to the health of living organisms in surrounding area. Malaysia's legislation of environmental policy is relatively complete. However, the lack of unified environmental policy system leads to ineffective function. They rank the 8th in Asia Pacific for environmental friendliness, assessing from 13 countries, including Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand. Some examples showing that Malaysia is an environmental friendly country are zero waste shops, green buildings, and recycled products. Malaysia Prime Minister declared the country will become carbon neutral as early as 2050, alongside with the commitment to stop building new coal power plants. Of the conflicts in Malaysia is the tolerance of the urban and rural towards conflict-prone endangered megafauna in Peninsula Malaysia. Both urban and rural have high tolerance toward less dangerous animals like tapi comparing to tigers or elephant. The rural do not want this megafauna in their area at all.
So next, I will talk about the politics of Malaysia. Politics of Malaysia take place in the framework of federal representative democratic constitutional monarchy, in which the Yang di-Pertuan Agong is the head of the state and the Prime Minister of Malaysia is the head of the government of the 13th state. In the histories of Malaysia, the early organized political movement in Malaysia were organized along the regional and ethical group and were not a political party in a modern sense, since they were generally loose alliance of interest group and individually primary concern with social welfare, progress, and religious reform. Some example would be religious reformers, teacher unions, and self-help societies. So next, I will talk about the current system of Malaysia political system. See, they are using parliamentary democracy system with constitutional monarchy in which the king is the head of the state. Parliament is the most important institute in the country in which practice the principle of the democracy. The Parliament of Malaysia consisting of Senate, so the House of Representatives has 222 elected members and each member represents a parliamentary constitution. General election is held every 5 years to elect member of House of Representatives, and the party with the most elected member can form a federal government to rule the country. So next I will talk about the monarch of the country. So since Malaysia is a constitutional elected monarchy, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, also known as the Supreme King of Malaysia, is selected for a 5-year term from among the 9 Sultan of Malaysia state. The other 4 states that they have monarch king are ruled by governor. The 9 Sultan and 4 governor together make up the conference of ruler who elect the Yang di-Pertuan Agong every 5 years. So the position up to date have been by an informal agreements-based system rotation of the 9 Sultan, in which the other were originally based on the seniority. So next I will talk about the 3 branches of federal government. One is legislative, which has been dealing with the law of Malaysia. The next one is executive, which is dealing with the governing of the state of Malaysia. And the last one is the judicial, in which it is the highest court and the final appearing court in Malaysia. Next time we talk about some policies of Malaysia. Malaysia is developing a social policy that is becoming increasingly important to manage a growing complex community in Malaysia, which is known as the National Social Policies. Throughout the year, Malaysia has to integrate its social policy with the economic policy to create the political unities, social stability, and social equalities. Thus, Malaysia has taken the approach of concentrating its role in the country development and economic growth. First, there is a social relief that is designed to cater for those who doesn't have a job to look after their needs. And second, there is a social welfare which is organized under the principle of economic scale. Directly or indirectly, it shows that the social policy that Malaysia is developing has contributed to economic growth for the nation. That Malaysia is developing has contributed to economic growth for the nation.
Coming to the last part of our presentation, I'm going to show you about the Malaysian Armed Force. This year, Malaysian Armed Force is ranked 48 globally and ranked 6 in the ASEAN. Then let's look into the history of Malaysian Armed Force. Back then in 1933, Malay state passed the Malay Regiment Bill, then the first military unit was created. A 2 decades after, at the period of Malaysia independence, the Malayan Armed Force together with the British Commonwealth troops were engaged in the emergency, fighting against the Communist Party led by Sinn Féin. 3 years after the emergency ended, there was a merger of Malaya, Singapore, Sabah, and Sarawak to form the current Federation of Malaysia. Let's begin with the Malaysian Army. The Malaysian Army is currently organized into 5 divisions and is located throughout the country, as shown on the map. The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th is located in Malaysia Peninsula, while the 3rd and the 5th is located in the East Malaysia. Malaysian Army has 2 special units. The first one is Special Force Regiment. This unit is a commando unit which conduct a special operation from Malaysian governments such as unconventional warfare, intelligence gathering. This unit is similar to the CIA in the United States. The second one is the 10th Parachute Brigade. This unit is highly skilled under its setup for live deployment force. This unit is similar to the 82nd Airborne in the United States and similar to Polom Pawai in Thailand. Secondary, the Royal Malaysian Navy. The Royal Malaysian Navy also has the special force which is known as PASCA. This unit in the peacetime, this unit is responsible for preventing maritime hijacking and protecting numerous Malaysia offshore oil and gas. Wartime, PASCA is analogous to the US Navy SEAL. Malaysia has 6 naval bases throughout the country. And in the picture below, this one is the headquarters which is located in Perak. Air Force was established in 1958. After the withdrawal of British military force, it had led to a modernization of Royal Malaysian Air Force, such as creating of a famous special force as a PASCO. Pascal role is similar to 10 parachute digit, but this unit is also responsible for protecting civilian airport and also Royal Malaysian Air Force Air Base. In terms of soft power like cybersecurity, Malaysia is the second best in ASEAN and has successfully been ranked 8th place globally with 98 out of 100 of global cybersecurity index. Malaysia was actually behind South Korea and equal with powerful country right lastly. Lastly, thank you for listening and hope you enjoy our presentation.